Brother's Big Archive with your hosts Karl Bainbridge, Joseph Tilley and Paul Barron. This week's episode, Hide Your Epilators.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us once again for Big Brother's Big Archive, the second episode of our retrospective look at Big Brother. And as you can see, we're being joined right now by Joseph Tilley. Thank you for joining us, Joe. We just lost you there. Are you back online?
Yeah, I went on hold for some reason.
Yes, but well, you're okay though. You're with us. You've joined us live, and I'm sure you'll be willing to talk to us about Big Brother 13.
Hooray!
As Paul mentioned there though, this is Big Brother's Big Archive. My name's Karl Bainbridge, Joseph Tilley, who's just joined us, and Mr. Paul Barron, who gave us that fantastic intro there.
Thank you. We were going with the epic voice guy that you might have heard from X Factor, but unfortunately he has nothing to do with Big Brother.
Yes, that's quite unfortunate. Although
unless of course you watched it on E4, of course.
Yes, I do remember when Peter Dixon did do all the voiceover stuff for E4, but unfortunately his involvement in Big Brother has been fairly limited. Although you have to think though, what would the show be like if Mark Bentley wasn't there?
Yeah, you got a point there. I mean, we want a little smarky Geordie in there.
Yes. What we do want as well is to talk about Big Brother 13, which of course came just before Celebrity Big Brother 10, which we looked at in the last week's episode. Now, Big Brother 13 is seen on the whole largely as it's very middle of the road. I think it's a series which does have a lot of likers. Although I sometimes do question whether or not those likers are judged by a Channel 5 quality as opposed to the quality from the Channel 4 series.
And judging from Channel 5's quality, they're basically, well, more grittier than a road. So
yes, I'd probably have to agree with that though. But I do think the Big Brother 13 did have a lot of good aspects to them, and I hope that we can point it out during the podcast. First of all, one thing I want to talk about is something that I've always thought about Big Brother 13. Was this one of the darkest series of Big Brother? I mean, it does seem to be series lacking on the whole in humour.
Well, and they did have a former gang member and a bouncer who was, what I would like to say, a squeaky toy for a voice.
You're talking about Chris there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be discussing Chris in more detail as we go along during the show. But on the whole,
I have something to say.
Yes.
I personally didn't watch this series, so I'm just going to be an occasional talker and a mostly Paul wind-upper. Peep hands.
But tables are turned now, you little swine. I know about this season because I've seen the season and you haven't.
Yes, it's
one I really didn't like.
Yeah, so you chose not to watch this series. You watched a bit of it and then dived away from it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just the thought of Channel 5 doing it instead of Channel 4. It just kind of scared me off.
So you judged it based solely on Channel 5's involvement in the series rather than on the actual.
I did watch it and I thought they were so vacuous arseholes, really, so no, I didn't like it.
Well, it does delay the question that I was going to ask, which is, on the whole, what did you think of this year's cast? We'll have to put that to Paul.
Well, there were some good characters in there. For example, Adam, Chris,
yes,
and all the rest.
Paul is probably one of the biggest Adam Kelly fans that you can come across on the internet, so it's going to be great to talk to him when we get to Adam later on in the show.
Motherfucking Adam.
But yes, I personally thought that this year's cast was a good one, but I think they sort of made the same mistake that Big Brother 6 did in having so many big characters and so many controversial personalities that it ended up becoming to the detriment of the show, where everybody kept clashing every single day. And I mean, conflict does create entertainment in a show like this, but not all the time. It gets very tedious. And I think
it's like going to a political debate and everyone hates each other. They'll constantly just find ways to just jump down each other's throats.
I'll agree with you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're going to have to get started though when talking about Big Brother 13. And first of all, I'd also like to thank everybody who contributed on Digital Spy, posted some questions that you want and some discussion points that you wanted us to talk about during the series. And we got a great one here from the user called Noisy Oyster, which is our first point that I want to bring up, which involves Dina's Day 1 nominations. And Noisy Oyster asks, what would things have been different if Dina hadn't been forced to nominate on the first night? For those who can't remember, Dina was the victim of this year's opening night twist, where she had to nominate 3 other peers from eviction, and chose Connor, Lydia and Victoria as nominees. I think this is a really good question to ask, because it becomes very very prominent throughout the series that Connor has a real problem with Dina throughout. And we'll discuss the reasons for that later on in the show. Was this nomination twist the instigator for these grievances?
Well, first off, awesome username, by the way. I'm just noticing a little bit of a big oyster thing. And second, it was just you did get that tension between them throughout the whole series. Even in tasks and on the normal day-to-day things, you can tell that something's about to erupt with them two.
Yes, definitely. Do you think that this opening night twist was the reason why it was so hostile between the two, or do you think that would have happened anyway?
It would probably have happened anyway, because Dina's sort of they basically like to bits of sandpaper, rubbing together.
Okay, I thought I was actually going to go very, very dodgy territory there, but you recovered that well.
Don't worry. I'm a reformed man. If you picked up any bloody human centipede sort of things there, you're a sick man and get a bad taste in movies.
Yes. Don't watch Human Centipede.
Don't watch the friggin' Don't watch the newest one that's going to be coming out.
I think it was good.
Never mind.
Hey Joseph, I've got an opinion for you. Fuck you!
Hey, it was one for you, Paul. The
What?
human Pete Burns.
Oh God.
Oh God, there it is. Oh.
Okay, I'm going to have to make this video explicit when I upload it onto YouTube.
Don't. Yeah.
Trying to change things back onto the subject though, I thought the Day 1 nominations personally, I didn't like the twist. I didn't like it when it was done first time around on Big Brother 4, like the idea of first night nominations when you haven't really got the opportunity to know people. And also, I thought it was so harsh on those three. I mean, I hated Connor throughout the series, but even I'll admit, to be in that house, to have gone through the whole audition process, and then have the fear of it being taken away from you after 3 days was a bit too much.
Aye, I mean, it is a mean trick to pull.
Yes. And I think the worst thing about it though is when you take this into account with the twist that comes later, the wild card vote.
Yeah.
I think that makes it even worse, because someone like Victoria, I think this twist really was designed basically to screw over Victoria, in the way that she was the last person into the house, making them less likely to talk to Dina, more likely to be a contender for nominations, being the token oldie as well. It was quite sad in that regard, because I just sensed that Victoria was going to be before the casting and going to go straight out, straight away.
And besides which, Victoria Saw looked like the type that would, get in the news in one way or the other.
I wouldn't argue with that, but Victoria was there just to please people who said, oh, you got too many young people in, so to put in some token older woman that you can just get rid of straight away.
Basically, they went around saying, hey, you old woman, want to be famous? Okay, get in house.
Yeah, well, basically, yeah. I mean, I think Victoria was maybe a bit more fame hungry than what she put on to be. But I do think that she was essentially there just to fill the role of being voted out straight away. Of course, though, things very, very nearly didn't happen that way, because if you remember the eviction, there was only, I believe, 0.5%, which separated Victoria from Lydia in the public vote. We could have very easily lost Lydia after 3 days. And personally, because I thought that Lydia was such a great character, I think that she would have, I think that would have been a great loss to the house. So I think in that regard, Victoria going instead of Lydia was the right decision. But preferably, neither should have gone. What about you, Joe?
Sorry, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to be put on the back burner today, so just carry on, please.
That's fair enough. I'm sure the same thing will happen with other series, which you'll be very passionate about and you'll be great to contribute to. But the whole idea of an eviction after 3 days, that must be something you have an opinion on.
Yeah, I'd be gutted if I was evicted after 3 days, basically.
Yes, and I didn't like that twist, I have to be honest. What the twist did do, though, was basically create a space for Jamie East's wild card housemate to enter. And we, the public, had the choice between 3 people, which was Anthony, Bhavesh, and Becky. Which, of course, Becky ended up winning with her infamous entry into the house, screaming and bawling her way through.
Oh Christ!
In a terribly contrived manner.
Are you telling me that that what I'm hearing is basically
the public chose the British public chose to put Becky on their television screens for 3 months.
Right? And if I can remember correctly, Becky was... Oh God! Now I remember.
That Becky.
I see the wheel. I see her.
I
Boom the bastard.
What's that, Joe?
I saw that picture of you and Becky doing the same face.
Oh yes. If you ever get the chance to look it up, look up Becky's profile picture on Google. She just has these manic wide eyes and like this wacky face.
Yeah, and the fact that the web designers are absolutely evil, right? Where do they put the picture? Right, they don't put it at the top. They put it on the bottom so you can just scroll down like it's some sort of screamer.
They get normal face, much larger than every other picture. Becky, and the picture as well is a close up, so your screen is just basically covered with Becky just screaming at you.
Yeah, basically going, hiya! Oh my God, I'm in Big Brother. I'm in Big Brother.
I think what you've done there as well is also given in that picture as well is just another example of this contrived, wacky personality that Becky attempted to paint herself as.
Oh.
And it's actually quite a shame that people fell for that in voting for her into the house. I personally think
You can pick from a guy who looks like the yacht lord and master of game reviewing, which is Yahtzee, and yet you've gone for Bubbles.
Bubbles the chimp.
No, Bubbles as in Bubbles fucking the bear.
I don't know which is worse.
No, they're both. Fuck's sake.
That's a fantastic comparison, Paul. I have to give you that.
Thank you.
Yes. Good question I want to bring up though about that wildcard twist. How did the house dynamics change if Anthony or Bhavesh was chosen instead of Becky?
Anthony would probably bring in a little bit. Anthony would probably be, he looks a bit like the smart one who would probably end up arguing with the other housemates.
I found him quite a timid personality actually. I think he would have been someone who might have been contended to win. And probably would have sided with the outsiders in the insiders versus outsiders feud. But I don't know, I just got the impression that maybe Anthony was a little bit wouldn't have delivered. And I think the same with Bhavesh. I think Bhavesh would have really gone into his shell after the first couple of days. I personally would have gone for Anthony between the 3 though. Not that Anthony.
Oh.
No, I'm not a big lover of that Anthony. Anthony, stop it.
Noted.
Oh my God.
Anthony and Craig will be discussing them in great detail when we get to Big Brother 6. Next.
Some of the fact that Becky, your best mate, was a drama student.
Yes.
Oh, for fuck.
Yes, which
She appeared in Shameless, one of my favourite shows.
yes, and I think that was another reason why we get the impression of Becky being this contrived character, which was trying to be like so wild, so manic to please the public, stuff like that.
Or as I like to call her, fake.
Yes, fake, definitely. And saying that though, yes, she's a drama student. By some of the lies that she told in that house, she isn't a very good one.
I would really buckle if you had a sort of, you know, have you ever seen Ratatouille, right? And you got that guy who constantly says the different stories. I was in the KGB once. I killed a man by using this stuff. I could see that with Becky. I used to be Miss World, you know. I used to be on the chocolate tins.
No.
I used to be on Shameless. Oh, right.
No, it'll be literally used to be Miss World.
As she does the most annoying thing in the world. The kiss. I would like to give
I don't think Becky did a kiss.
Oh, towards Chris. The kiss.
Yes. But it's a good thing we are talking about Becky, because of course the first big twist that Becky had to do was the controversial best friends task, where she had to try and get one of the housemates to agree to choose her as their best friend in the house, basically suck up to somebody. And of course, she ended up choosing Dina. Dina, of course, ended up creating these little stories for herself in the early stages, which kept her in the public's eyes until she had a full-on breakthrough later on in the show. But one of the things I remember about that was when they did the reveal of the best friends task, and Becky and Dina had chosen Becky as her best friend, and the moment that it finished, and the moment that Dina had realised she'd been used for Becky to save herself, Becky just completely dropped her and disassociated herself with her. And I think that was maybe the first time I really got the hint Becky wasn't all that she claimed herself to be.
Oh yeah, and
what did you think of that incident, Paul?
It's just, right, it happens with anyone who acts so fake that the only thing they can do is become a bit of a recluse.
In what way would you say that?
Well, look at Becky, right? She wanted to be this wacky, over-the-top sort of personality in the house, but yet when it came to that sort of task, she felt like a deck of cards.
Okay, I'll put it that. But you see that Becky was trying to be this fake, over-the-top personality. If you've ever watched Big Brother before, you realise that trying to play that character 24/7 is just going to backfire on you in the end. I think if everyone remembers Kat from Big Brother 9, a similar sort of story, over-the-top character with a one-dimensional gimmick, started out loving it, and by the time the series had finished, she played a card too much, and people had got sick of it.
And basically done.
Cookie power, exactly.
Yeah, basically like the crazy frog.
Okay, but
everyone loved it at first, but then it got fucking annoying.
Oh yeah, I never loved it.
Yeah, fair enough. Looked like me dad in a way.
That's another good concept, Paul.
Yeah.
But we are going to be discussing someone who I know you are very fond of, and that is our good friend, Mr. Joe Pasquale meets Grant Mitchell, Chris James. Because week 2 was very much the week of Chris. He instigated a lot of the conflicts. He was very paranoid and tried to set himself up as an alpha male. Was involved in the Aaron versus Chris eviction, and of course, in the end of the day, he ended up getting evicted. Now, Chris was only in there for a short time. I think it was only about 10 days.
Yeah.
What did you think of him between those 10 days?
Well, he did seem like the hard nut, the one who would probably want to watch his back most of the time. And when I saw it was he was talking to the Moby Dick of the whole entire world, which is Becky.
I just get the feeling this is just going to be a Becky bashing session all episode.
Oh, you unleashed the monster. So, where was I? Oh yeah. To say that he was going to play Big Brother as a game. Now, if you did that in the US, you would have done really well with it. I mean, you know, instigated alliances, this, that, the other. But not here, because you have to be the nicest person ever to actually win with Big Brother. You have to be nice and genuine.
Do you think that's a bit of a flaw in the system, though, that we seem so unwilling to reward people based on the tactical side of the game?
Yeah, you've got to have something with tactics in it, like Like, Deal or No Deal, or...
Deal or No Deal doesn't have any tactics to it.
Wrong example. I think.
Deal or No Deal is just people randomly choosing boxes.
What about...
Golden balls.
Golden balls.
That's the one.
Spot on. And I mean, I loved golden balls. And I just find it upsetting that people just seem to be so unwilling to embrace tactics in this country. Because if we see a so-called game player in Big Brother, we get shot at them straight away. If we had our version of Survivor in 2001, that got cancelled because people didn't want to see people scheming and plotting. And yet I just find it compelling television, and I think that
they picked the wrong guy to host it, really.
Mark Austin, the former newsreader.
Yeah. I'm Mark Austin, and I'm like some sort of weird British version of Will Shatner.
I think they wanted some sort of wilderness expert to do it. It wasn't Ray Mears, but someone like around that time to host it. He couldn't do it, and they got Mark Austin instead.
Craig Charles?
Not Craig Charles. That would be funny though.
Yeah.
That would be really lame.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he did. He was rubbish at Robot Wars.
Fuck you. That was my childhood.
It looked like he put his leather jacket through the shredder.
Yes, I'll have to agree with you on that.
Oh my god. You swine! No, you're not killing my childhood.
You're killing this podcast though by talking about the subjects.
Fair enough. Anyway, continue on.
Yes. I was sort of similar on Chris. I found Chris a great character for the early weeks. But I do sort of wonder whether or not that could have continued further on than the 2 weeks that he was in there. I just get the feeling that maybe Chris would have gone on to become an overbearing, over-the-top character, an over-the-top irritant. And I mean, there was evidence of that in those first 10 days.
Oh, you could see that he was going to be an over-the-top irritant.
Yes. He's actually really fortunate that he ended up getting a very good send-off from the producers, because I felt that by the end of his week in the house, production really made an attempt to try and change the perception of Chris from the irritant into a rather unaware, over-the-top fool sort of character. I remember his date. He had a date with Caroline, which I think really showed a different side to his personality and made him quite a fun character to root for. But I love that contrast. One of the funniest moments of the series, actually, that contrast between Chris and Caroline when they were in the diary room talking about each other, and like Chris was like, "Oh, I had a really good day with Caroline. I think this could be the start of something else." I absolutely couldn't stand him. "Oh, I think he's really cute. I think he's really lovely." I mean, he was vile. I mean, I just wanted to get away from him. Just that sort of contrast between the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to remember in those early stages, Caroline wasn't the bitch that she would turn out to be. There was a lot of snark in Caroline at that time. And I just thought it was a very funny scene. The other thing that I remember about week 2 was that it was the start of when Dina really began to come out of her shell. And I remember one of the other aspects of that series was Aaron basically becoming this childish prankster, attempting to wind people up mainly because he was bored, basically petulant attention seeking, let's be honest. And I remember this moment where Aaron thought that Dina was drinking too much to try and wind her up, and expected Dina to be this timid little woman that would just back down and just start crying at what Aaron would say. And Dina held her ground and said, "Who are you to tell me what I can and can't drink?" And that was the moment for me. Dina really began to become a star housemate for me. What was your view on Dina in those early episodes?
The early episodes, Dina were, she was timid. She was very timid. But she came out of her shell later on. I remember they were doing a treat, which was a stand-up comedian coming in.
Yes, that's the point that I was talking about in the no laughing task.
Yeah, the no laughing task, which is basically like,
basically a rip-off of the ignore the obvious. Ignore the obvious. Joe said it's spot on.
No, the cheap man's ignore the obvious.
Yes. Channel 5 are very cheap for that. They basically, what they've done through the series is just basically take the best bits from the Channel 4 series in terms of tact and just read them again.
No, not read them, water them down.
Yes. I'm sure we'll be seeing the electric shock suits again when Celebrity Big Brother 11 starts.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm expecting shock suits, Jedward. Sorry.
Not again. No, they won't do that again.
I don't know.
Thank
I don't
Christ.
know. This is Channel 5. They will milk things.
Jedward.
It's either going to be Jedward or Kevin Katona. I bet you.
Oh God!
Oh, Pete Burns.
No.
Fuck off.
I don't think Pete will be back. Pete even admits he doesn't watch the show. He just comes on. He just goes up a bit on the side to wind people up. I think he actually.
Mission accomplished, you big baboon Willy Wolf.
What was that?
Also,
And
You turned into Professor Frink there at the end.
I was gonna go with a more, W word for banker, sort of thing.
Okay, and it's a good thing you stopped there.
Yeah.
also, week 9 was emotional for one of the housemates, Scott, who had to leave.
Yes, I was actually going to mention that once we got to week 9 of our podcast. Yes, it's actually quite. It was actually quite interesting how they ignored that, but we'll get to that when we get there. But another emotional moment, which happened during week 2, and I absolutely adore this moment here, which was one of the most great laugh out loud moments of the series. Sarah and her drunken rant about the Queen.
At least it wasn't King in the Bottle.
Oh, don't remind me of King in the Bottle. No.
The face on Anthony.
Oh God, poor Anthony to witness that.
Poor wine bottle.
Oh.
Must have been a good vintage here.
Yes, I'll give you that.
I taste grape and a little bit of something else.
Yes. Let's not try and identify what that is. But if anybody forgets, if you remember the Sarah rant, they were having a discussion about the monarchy. Sarah had had far too much to drink, and somebody had questioned the value of the monarchy. And Sarah goes into this full-on rant about why she thinks they're great. I don't know how you dare criticise the Queen. She works her little ass off every day. She's 80 years old. I love everything that she stands for. And she starts singing God Save the Queen drunkenly. And great moment. And the fact that it was Golden Jubilee happened at the same time. Just spot on, perfect moment.
It's like I love it when to tell you the truth, I love the Queen. God help her who's sailing her.
Even Mom.
Even Mum, and it's shown that she's up with the posh side of things.
It's quite interesting though that Sarah is a Scottish loyalist that loves Margaret Thatcher and loves the royal family. It's a bit of a
all you just need to do now is list in the hobbies, crush puppies for a living, and we've got yourselves something evil
Love of
there.
Adolf Hitler.
No, you've lost the argument there. God wins law.
Baron wins.
Yes. And Aaron wins the week 2 eviction. Now, what did you think of that result? Aaron versus Chris. Who should have gone that week?
Chris, I think Aaron should have because, as you said before, Chris was a bit of a tactician, and some people would love to see a tactician, or in this case, a villain, sort of win with that.
Yeah, and I'd sort of see your point with that, but yes, definitely.
But mind you, everyone would probably go insane because of his squeaky fucking voice.
I do think though, maybe looking on the side, on both sides of the scale, I think maybe Aaron was maybe more of a contributor during that series, maybe had more long-term potential to contribute. I think Chris had sort of blown his load and would have just got irritated by then. Yes, I said the wrong word there, didn't I?
Friggin' knew it. I thought I said all the bad words. Karl, tut.
Yes,
But,
I bite my head in shame.
Yeah, I think Aaron was more of the better choice because let's just face it, people love good guys.
Why did Aaron stay in when he was far worse than Chris?
Touche.
Yes. I remember that eviction. That was an enjoyable eviction to watch on the internet forums because it's to and fro at each way, and people genuinely weren't sure who was going to go between Aaron and Chris. It was got enjoyable eviction to watch, and I don't say that about many one-on-one evictions. You can sort of tell what's going to happen. That's one of the exceptions. Have to give you that one. We are going to move on to week 3 now. Now, week 3 was the week where we really began to see the insiders versus outsiders feud come to the forefront. And this was basically the feud which defined the series.
So let me guess. What a divide comes into the house.
Not a literal divide. I mean a divide based on who started being friends with who nominated who. And it basically stemmed from what were dubbed the insiders, which were the cool, pretty boy people, Lucas, Aaron, Connor, Ashley, etc. I think Siobhan was also a member of the insiders as well.
Yeah.
And then the outsiders were largely the outcasts of the house, which was Luke, Adam, Lauren, Dina, Lydia, and to a lesser extent Benedict as well. So they're the outsiders of the group. Now, one of the reasons a lot of people put that down to was the decision early in the series to allow nomination discussions, which was something which got rescinded later on due to negative feedback from the mainstream public. Now,
Bloody mainstream.
yes, I mean I personally liked the domination discussions, and we'll ask the others too about it later on. Do you think the divide was caused by the nomination discussions, or do you think that would have happened anyway?
It would have happened anyway. Bigger personalities clash in that house. There was a lot of clashes in that house. But you know there were some proper good telly, but unfortunately it was spoiled because of all the stupid, move the goalpost sort of rules there.
And what was your view on the whole? First of all, the decision to discuss nominations being introduced and then it being rescinded.
It would be a bitching period, so you can actually get what's on your mind. You sort of guess who was nominating who, and and then get that receded, which is sort of.
Do you think it was bad management on Channel 5's part to introduce this twist without realising the negative public perception of it even before the show? I think maybe should have made hints of introducing this.
Like a flawed law or something like that.
Well, sort of more along the lines of, what's your view on nomination discussions before the series? If people seem to like it, introduce it. Obviously, they didn't do that. The mainstream public rebelled, and they had to rescind it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with the series was with nomination discussions was that the housemates inside didn't do enough with it. I think it maybe would have worked better if it had been embraced more in a tactical sense, i.e. we know we're going to vote for them, so we're going to vote for these two people to try and get them to up.
Like
if
a
it
nasty Nick situation.
With a nasty Nick sort of situation, yes, throw other people under the bus to save themselves. And I think Lydia sort of actually did that for a while. And we'll discuss Lydia when we get to her eviction. But what basically happened in that house was they thought, we can discuss nominations, this gives us an opportunity to bitch about people we don't like. And that was the part which put people off.
Yeah, the bitching part.
Yes, because they just used it as an excuse for bitching, and they didn't like it. What was your view on the nomination discussions, Joe?
I think that maybe should have, even though the public didn't like it, they should have maybe kept it, because I think it gives more like reality to it,
I think so. I think so as well, totally. And I think that to change it partway through the season showed weakness on Channel 5's part.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Survivor, they're always talking about each other and kick off and such, and I think it's good TV.
Yes.
Alongside the word, you naked again.
Yeah. But it also changed the way what is considered as unpredictable, because rather than what happened on Big Brother in UK, where where the unpredictability is who's going to be nominated. The unpredictability about the nomination discussions is, can the outsiders be able to flip one of the floaters, someone like Scott or Sarah, to their side to get the people they want up? That was the drama for me, and I thought that was far better than what was being seen. In saying that though, it did push the show back into a more personal side, which I think is what British reality TV is more about. But it was the insiders themselves who dominated that week with the help of the nomination discussions, and it led to two outsiders I should say, Benedict and Lauren, going up for eviction. Now, what was your view on Benedict? Because I think that Benedict is somebody who has a massive following on Digital Spy. I know Digital Spy followers love Benedict. They found him sort of like an intellectual, well-spoken gentleman. Basically, if you're a well-spoken adult male, you're basically loved on Digital Spy.
Yeah, I mean, if you are quoted as one of the posh people, you're going to probably either be hailed as one of those meow meow sort of type of people, because
yeah, I can understand what you mean there. But I personally didn't agree with that. I found Benedict to be a self-righteous bore for about 2/3 of the season.
Like most people who are rich.
For about 2.5 of the weeks, that was what Benedict did. Very under the radar, not particularly impressive. Then he suddenly burst into this over the top, like heroic figure. But I just found that a little bit contrived, actually. And was I the only one who thought that Benedict suddenly became this great figure the moment he was nominated?
Probably.
Yeah, and we've just lost Joseph Tilley, so we're going to have to struggle between ourselves for the moment here.
Right. Benedict, if he did, be like a quiet one for some of the remainder, and then sort of became this over hero.
But he only did that though once he realised that the public wouldn't have to judge him as a character.
Yeah.
And of course, being up for eviction, he thought, I have to be more over the top to try and stay in this competition.
Unfortunately, you have to always be genuine as well. So,
I just had this bad feeling about the way that people suddenly loved him to Benedict, and we're just saying Joseph. Yep, he says technical difficulties, and here he is again, Joseph Tilley joining us again. I've got a feeling this is going to happen throughout the series. Hello, Joe.
Hello, sorry about that.
Yes, we're having terrible technical problems. The weather up in the northeast here has been very poor the last couple of days, and I think this might be affecting our satellite feed to Joe.
But mind you, at least we're not underwater growing gills.
Yes, we had terrible rain up here. It's a good thing this is actually still going on though. So consider yourself lucky, audience, if possible. In saying that though about Benedict, I did love the chest hunt, and that was a good Big Brother moment, where there'd been like a little joke from Bit on the Side, and Bit on the Side told all the housemates before the end of the series, try and nick something out the house before you leave, and most of them had taken like a knife, a fork, a hairbrush, something like that. Benedict took a full chair with him.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta admit, I didn't see that part, but my God, you have got to have some balls to actually take a chair.
Oh, that was fantastic, and of course, put it at the top of the stairs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Benedict, you have been evicted. Of course, there was the James Bond Blofeld swirl. Hello there.
Hello.
Can I also say another good moment was Aaron with the hair dryers and the talc powder. Don't
say about hair dryers.
Hair dryers and talc powder. I actually remember that, and it's hard to remember. But I think I remember that Aaron was one of the people who basically slammed down on him, and just basically laid into him, and just Aaron completely retreated. And I think that's actually one, when we get to Aaron, when we discuss him in the Big Brother in the week 5 eviction, how Aaron came across the times as a sexist bully, in how he would only target women with these crazy antics. And yet, someone like Adam took him on and he just retreated. Completely retreated.
I'm guessing, you know, his crazy antics is usually going to be resulting around a sexy party.
Yes.
I still don't see why that was a fire risk and Big Brother took all the hairdryers away, but...
Well, because the talcum powder can get in, short the electrics, boom.
Right.
I don't use a hairdryer, I don't know.
I did. I usually floated ping pong balls on top of
Are
them.
you sure?
Going back to the Benedict eviction and the chair stealing. What the chair stealing did was provoke a massive reaction, an unexpected one from Connor. And Connor had been largely this aloof background sidekick character to Luke S in the Insiders Alliance. Stealing the chair and winding up Connor was the first time it really became clear to people what a bad piece of work he was. And he would grow progressively worse from there. Now, we're going to be discussing this section about Connor and his behaviour in ours, because there's an infamous moment which we need to discuss. But those early weeks, early season Connor, what was your opinion, Paul?
Early season Connor. Connor was a very, you know, unsure. I mean, he was basically like, you know, all the other tanned muscle heads out there, you know.
Did you get the impression he was just basically there to be an Irish J?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I just got this feeling that Connor was going to be one of those people who would just sail under the radar and then become a contender to win once the votes die down, because he's the only like muscle-bound male left in there. And
me Connor, me in charge of house.
Yes, you've got basically he was a caveman.
Yeah.
Me in charge, me Connor.
Me wants no with all female except for Becky.
Me shove Epilator up. Bad place.
Probably, maybe blame Becky. She be well.
I don't think Connor really had that much of a problem with Becky, especially not in the late stages of the series.
Yeah.
But I mentioned it there. We have to discuss this because this was the controversial moment of the series. Connor's Epilator rant against Dina. Something which I think was fueled largely by what happened in week 1 and carried on. And
Yeah,
I mean, Connor's antics during that rant were basically he said he wanted to shove an Epilator up Dina's private area.
right.
Was crude, sick, disgusting, and in my view should have been
Right.
he should have been kicked out for it.
You did say about this earlier on today, but one, what is an epilator?
An epilator is something that women use to shave their legs.
Right. 2, what? How would you stick that up someone? Let me find out a word for this. Christmas pudding.
Because he's awful, Connor. Because Connor's awful.
Right.
But just I found it hard to believe that Connor said something so vile, so unpleasant, and yet Channel 5 chose not to do anything about it.
You're a bastard, Channel 5.
I
Yes,
did give him a warning.
but is that enough though? I mean that's maybe going too far. I mean Emily Parr got kicked out of Big Brother 8 for far less than that.
Kinker did far worse than that, and
I mean-
Channel 4 went on with it.
Are we trying to say that that sexual violence against a woman's okay? Because that's the impression that Channel 5 were giving me.
Nah, that's not on.
It's not okay. I think a line was crossed there, and Connor should have dealt with it. And I think the way that Channel 5 tried to cover it up to save their own backs and to save Connor, that was wrong for me. And I think they should have done the right thing and just kicked him out there. And I can't believe they didn't personally. What about you, Joe? What in your view is the line that needs to be crossed when something needs to be done?
I mean, that was pretty bad. I don't think there's been anything worse than that on Big Brother. Like, threatening behaviour-wise, apart from the odd...
The Victor
Big
incident, for a start.
Which Victor incident was that? Fight night?
Yeah, the fight night.
I think Fight Night, yes, someone had to be removed for that. Someone had to be removed for Spitgate. But if you remember Spitgate,
Oh God, yeah.
They only kicked Dennis out at the very last second.
Hmm.
They really tried everything that they could to try not to take Dennis out. And one of the reasons I heard about that was that Dennis had friends in production and didn't want to they didn't want to upset them. And that actually brings me onto an online rumour which was on Digital Spy that did the rounds, which is that Connor had a friend in production, and that was the reason why I didn't want to kick him out.
Alright.
But Karl would buy Channel 5 backdoor when we discussed something later on, when we discussed the White Room. Unfortunately, we have to discuss the White Room. But that was the most important part of week 4. And which, of course, unfortunately saw my two favourite housemates from the series go against each other, which was Lydia and Dina. And unfortunately, it was Lydia that went that week by, I believe, 64%. I think it was 64% that Lydia went by.
He thinks there's been some tankering with the votes there, so...
I wouldn't think so. I mean, Channel 5 are slightly dodgy, but I don't think they're that dodgy. But we have to discuss Lydia, because Lydia was by far one of my favourite contestants from the early stages of the series. Yes, I mean, she was a paranoid, deluded, train wreck character. Some fantastic facial expressions, unintentional comedy. Lydia was a fantastic star of the show, and it's sad though that a lot of people didn't really appreciate that until she'd gone.
Right, who's Lydia again?
Lydia was the boyfriend of Andy Scott Lee.
Oh, right.
She had crazy eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's going to be hard for you to judge, Joe, because you didn't really follow that series that much, but can you think of any other examples of like great early boots? Because I have to say Lydia has to be up there as one of the star characters from who went in the first 4 weeks.
God. Oh, you put me on the spot now. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you, yeah. But personally, I love Lydia. I thought she was a great character. Maybe that time was the right time for her to go, especially against Dina, who became this star, or this all-star housemate. I'm actually going to go as far to say that Dina was somebody you should consider as an all-star. But it was a shame to lose Lydia that week, especially over some of the people who got far. Lucas, Ashley, so forth, etc.
Connor with his...
Violator,
Epilators or something like that.
Epilator violation.
Hey.
Yes. We're very quick on the show.
Yes, we're more quicker than Danny Baker.
Good call. I like that. I like the Danny Baker reference, Paul.
I thank you.
Yes. See, we're very intellectual on the show as well.
Yeah, like...
And we just ruined it.
I like Dara O'Brien as well. He's intellectual.
He is, very smart man. Now, we're going to talk about one of the turning point moments of the season. A great moment for anyone who watched it, which was week 5 and the so-called ABCD eviction, which was Aaron versus Becky versus Connor versus Dina. 4 people up against each other in that eviction. And it was the moment where the tide began to turn, where the Insider Alliance really began to realise maybe we're not as liked as what people think they are. And if you remember, of course, Aaron and Connor, the way that they trapped 2 girls in the diary room when they were asking questions for Bit on the side, and Aaron and Connor basically spent the whole time mocking Dina and Becky behind their back, like giving them like...
No offense, but I would be in the same sort of room doing that.
You just don't like Becky.
She's just really, you know.
But you have to remember that week, Becky didn't turn into this overbearing character that she would later become.
No, she can't.
Actually, Becky during that week was actually quite good, and a lot of people got behind Becky when she took on Aaron and Connor and basically said, "You boys have been terrible here." And it's yes.
Billy Batty.
Awful.
I hated him, and he was one that he deserved to go so bad because I hated him so much.
Big character though, a big character for Big Brother 8. Do we put Aaron low in that category? That week's victory? Personally, I don't. I think Aaron was one of many type of housemates like that. Not a particularly pleasant person, I have to be honest, and somebody who I think benefited from the show because he wasn't a good villain, he wasn't exciting. And as I mentioned earlier, I found him to be a sexist, a sexist bully. Essentially, he was John James. If you remember Big Brother 11, John James, terrible housemate, pretty much the same as Aaron.
But mind you, though, we're talking Channel 5 here.
And the sad fact that they seem to enjoy putting characters like that on, it's quite alarming actually. Yes.
This is a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call, Channel 5. Stop being mean.
Stop being towy. That's the way I put it.
Yeah.
Well,
I would rather watch Jersey Shore than that fucking shite.
But that moment during the ABCD eviction, where Dina gets announced as having the most votes, being safe, the sheer joy and happiness on her face, absolutely fantastic. Followed by Becky getting saved from eviction. I mean, that wasn't as good, but still, for the boys to realise they were less popular than the women, it was a great moment. Great moment. And the way that the boys tried to save themselves, try to save their credibility, saying, "Oh, they're leaving us behind till last for entertainment purposes. No, we're not the final two." They just couldn't bring themselves to admit that they weren't as popular.
Break out the juggling bags.
And of course, that gave us a great moment as well. That whole situation, Connor crying. Yes.
I'm not a bad person. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yes, you very much are.
Paul, we can move on.
Yes. I've realised it's been a long time. I have to say it's very hard to try and cover 10 weeks of Big Brother into what might even turn to be a 2-hour show. That's how
2
much.
hour, 3 hour.
No. I just said one part. Early evictee.
Yes.
We'll move on. Kitten. I know she wasn't evicted per se.
I'll give you Kitten. So I quite like this that we've got Joe doing his own thing to try and keep him as a contributor to the show. I mean, it's a shame that you couldn't watch the series, Joe. But
yeah.
I'll certainly have to. I'll get you the DVD when it gets made. Paul, remember to make that DVD.
I've got the fucking art level 3 to do. I mean, you know, I've got to get this shit. I've got to get this shit out the way.
And you're making a podcast.
You've got a valid point there, Karl. Valid point.
Yes.
And if Karl is listening to this, I'm pretty sure I'm doing some research.
And if my university tutor's listening to this, don't worry, I am as well.
In fact, this is probably like his friggin' what do you call it? Probably like,
yeah, this could get me a job.
Yeah, it could get you a job. I mean, look at Jolly Jack. He used to be indie comic book writer and artist, and Rare picked him up for Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Yes, I remember that actually.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember Turf Wars?
Turf Wars. Basically, the outsiders and the insiders sort of labelled parts of the house as their own.
It wasn't insiders versus outsiders, but yes, it was basically the house split into two groups, Team Blue and Team Green, and they competed against one another to try and win sides of the house. And the team that won control of the diary room would be the only people to nominate that week. And I mean, I think it was a fantastic idea for a twist, but for some reason or another, I just don't get the impression it was pulled off as well as it could have done.
It is like a game that could have been probably more better with a little bit more tweaking.
Yeah, I just found it more like tedious than what it should have been. I mean, this was a great concept done badly.
Yeah, like many other games out there.
Yeah, Joe, what was your opinion on the concept of Turf Wars?
I think it's good. It's like, again, it's been recycled from the Channel 4 group with the Heaven and Hell side.
Yes, it was very Heaven and Hell. I'll give you that. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that it's always a good task to have because it brings out, you know, teamwork, and it brings out other people's sides.
It also creates conflict, It also
Yeah.
forces people to integrate with some people that they didn't have the opportunity to beforehand.
Yeah.
I personally felt Turf Wars could have been better, but was still quite good. And what happened, of course, in that series was that the green team ended up winning. The green team, consisting most of the Outsider Alliance, ended up winning, ended up getting the controlling nominations, and ended up putting up Connor versus Siobhan.
Right.
Now a poster called Hula Cooler wanted me to bring up in particular Siobhan, and she felt this real belief that Siobhan suffered a real fall that week.
Again, epic name.
Yes, Hula Cooler. I have to say, Digital Spy has some of the best names in on the internet, the best usernames. But Hula Cooler basically says that we have to remember that during the early weeks, Siobhan was a very popular character. She was somebody who topped a lot of the online polls, and even at one point was the bookie's favourite to win. That was how popular she got at one point. And yet, in week 6, she just completely blew that in the space of 4 days by letting the paranoia get in the way of her. And it was quite sad in that regard. And especially to do it against Connor. To blow it all when you had the perfect opportunity for Connor to go. Well, now, what was your view on Siobhan, Paul?
Siobhan, she was the one who had their own personal. She was the one who had servants, right?
No, that was Dina.
With a game like Big Brother, paranoia can sort of work to your advantage, but unfortunately, if you're constantly paranoid about your fellow housemates, it will be your downfall.
Do you think that Siobhan suffered from the stigma that associates black women in the show? And I mean, that's an unfortunate stigma to make, but the likes of Charlie and Alexandra have really left a bad impression on how people see black housemates. Was Siobhan a victim of that?
I think that could have been it, yeah. Could have been it.
Yeah, I thought it was a shame, because Siobhan had good traits up until then, and just completely blew it in the space of 4 days. And 80%! To lose to Connor by 80%, that's how bad it got for Siobhan in that point.
That's like going against the Republicans and your Barack Obama.
I give you that. No, actually, it was much closer between Obama and the Republicans somehow. Yes, but we'll get into politics another time. Now, what happened after the Siobhan eviction was that Connor, now having survived 3 evictions, really began to believe his own hype and his own popularity, and he began to use this influence to regain his confidence, to regain his insiders together, and to regain control of the house. And this is where Becky's downfall turns, because Becky, believing that Connor was popular, surviving 3 evictions, turns from the outsiders to the insiders.
Please note,
become
while Karl's saying this, imagine you're Captain Ahab holding the harpoon towards Moby Dick.
Becky
right?
is not that fat, Paul.
I know she's not that fat, but she's that irritating. To Ahab.
You're comparing her to a whale.
You got a point there. But continue on.
Yes, and Becky basically blew everything.
Continue on.
Becky basically blew everything in that moment there by siding with Connor. And one of the questions I'd like to bring up to Joe: where do you think Becky's decision to flip ranks in terms of bad Big Brother decisions?
Yeah, it's a bit sad. I think that she didn't really have the right to do it. I just think that what she did was quite wrong. So.
Oh, definitely the wrong move for a chance to win it. Becky was never considered a contender to win by then. You're gonna keep doing that, but every time that we mention Becky, aren't you?
Yes, until we get to the downfall bit.
Please don't. It's very distracting.
Oh.
Don't worry. When we get to the fall of Becky, we'll let you vent, Paul.
Okay.
Yes, Paul's rubbing his hands with glee there. He's looking forward to that very much. Now, just to symbolise how this happened was that one of the things that happened in week 7, which we'll get to now, is that Connor and Dina were both caught by Big Brother discussing nominations, and the great thing about that was that the reason that Connor got called out for his nomination was because he said that he was going to consider putting up Becky. He got caught saying it and vented at Dina to try and push her into the bus and try and ignore that. But what I can't believe
towards that bus.
was Becky's there's a lot of mention of buses here actually. Yeah. Was that Becky, after hearing that Connor had been trying to target her, basically, oh no, Connor didn't speak about nominations, Connor didn't mention nominations, he was talking about you, Becky! Connor was trying to get people to nominate you, and you were defending him.
Oh great, now I've got dumb to go towards that list of annoying things about Becky.
And looks like Joe's got your sandpaper that you were talking about before, Paul.
Damn it! What sandpaper? Oh yeah, there's sandpaper in the conversation.
Yes.
Then we went into the human centipede.
Yes, that's it. And we'll end it there before we get into that. Now,
you're a terrible director, Tom.
Now,
6. You're a terrible director. Continue on.
Yes, as well as somebody very, very perverted. Now, the cowboy task. Connor now has his army together. He now has the numbers to take down the outsiders. And thanks to the help of discussion of being able to do face-to-face nominations as part of the cowboy task, he is able to get Lauren and Luke up. Now, the one question I want to ask about the cowboy task is, do you think it was on the whole fair?
Kind of.
I mean, there was a lot of... the fact that it was face-to-face nominations, where people would be more fearful of voting up someone like Connor, that would probably do something dodgy to them. Added to the fact that there was
mission accomplished. They've already done that already.
Added to the fact that there was the potential to discuss nominations. Because Caroline allegedly showed the cards towards some members of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a fair eviction? Should it have gone ahead, especially with two popular characters like Luke and Lauren?
What was the task?
Well, the task was that it was a face-to-face task. It was face-to-face nominations.
And she basically showed the cards.
Caroline showed the cards towards other housemates, told them, that's who I'm going to nominate, I think you should as well, and she didn't get called out for it.
That's a bit downhearted. I don't think that would be a very good thing to go for.
Then the question is, why did production let it go? Especially with two popular housemates like that.
Because production are idiots.
I don't personally agree with what Channel 5 did there. What it did do was create the closest eviction of the season, Luke versus Lauren, two big characters going up against one another. And of course, unfortunately, Lauren was the person who got evicted. Now, what was your view on Lauren as a character, Paul?
Lauren as a character, probably she was all right. She was canny. I mean, you know, she the times that she felt a bit low, and you know, the man of my personal liking,
the object of your affection.
Yes.
When she was low, just think of her face being ripped off by a chimpanzee.
Could you repeat that, Joe?
So did she think of her face being ripped off by a chimpanzee?
That was Josie.
I know, but he just said when he gets low, and that made me think of Josie.
Yes, nobody wants to think about Josie. I mean, terrible person. I mean, I'll mention that when we get to Big Brother 11. I'm not a big Josie Gibson fan at all.
Oh god, fucking hell, that dude, that fucker gives me the creeps. They should tattoo on his friggin' bald head pedo bear, because quite frankly, that fucker is new.
Who are you talking about?
Josie, right?
Are you thinking about Jonty here?
Oh, right, never mind.
Yes, somehow Paul has managed to get the Big Brother 11 winner and somebody who, like, a teddy bear nutter mixed up.
It's just weird.
Now, just going back to Lauren here, one of the reasons I think Lauren went over Luke was because of the interpretation of the Adam versus not Adam was the Adam and Lauren relationship. I felt the production really tried to push this as a relationship, and that Lauren was this woman teasing Adam into trying to have a relationship with her, and it was never like that, was it? This was just a friendship that the production tried to take too seriously.
Yeah, basically it was a friend with benefits sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Does Lauren still go if that doesn't happen? That's one of the questions I want to ask.
I would probably say no, considering the fact that Lauren was it was a big character, ish.
I thought she was a big character. I had Lauren as definitely somebody who I felt could win. And it's actually quite a shame that somebody who I thought had such a good chance ended up being basically an inauspicious mid-season boot on the whole. But I did like her, and I think it was a shame the way she was done over by production there. One of the things I do want to ask though was that it was a question put to me by Matt Hill, and I'll thank you, Matt, for posting this on Facebook for me to read. Basically, he wants to ask, if Lauren does stay that week and Luke does go, how does that affect the outsiders? Do you think the outsiders remain as solid a threesome as what they did with Luke there?
They would stay as solid because outsiders stick together through thick and thin.
The one thing I'd put to that though is that there were like parts of the outsiders alliance which I don't think were particularly fond of one another. I think Adam and Dina in particular were quite at each other's throats at times during the season, and I think that maybe I have this fear that if Luke wasn't there to pull the threesome together and make them this unified force, that they would have fractured, gone their own separate ways, and would have been easier to pick off.
Yeah, but would you rather them win or be the worst people ever to win?
Oh, of course I want the outsiders to win, and for that reason I think we need to thank Luke for staying in the show.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, because I think Luke played a big part in the outsiders staying together so solidly.
Mm.
So, and I mean, I posted another YouTube video up where I actually had Luke Anderson reply, basically condemn me for trying to make it out that he was this boring person who didn't deserve it. I will give him all the praise in the world for the job he did with the outsiders.
Mm. But then we talk about the man, the legend, the canniest person you could ever have that came from a really crap background, Adam!
I was actually going to talk about Caroline.
Continue on with Caroline.
Yes. You're just desperate to talk about Adam, aren't you?
He's so canny!
Paul, I think you've got a crush on Adam, you know.
No, I don't.
Look, you're sitting there lovingly with your arms like them. Oh, Adam. Oh, my. Oh. I'm not joking, he is. He's sitting there like, he's his eyes are fluttering. Oh.
It's just,
Adam is your man crush.
He's not a man crush. He's not a man crush. It's just the fact that he's the most canniest bloke you could ever have in Big Brother. And considering all the shitheads.
And that he got sweet, beautiful eyes as well.
Shut up. Right? Yeah, he was basically, in between, he was, one of the people that you find in an office block. You see all these assholes and douchebags, and he will probably be one of the people who would buy you a cup of tea.
I'll give you that. I do think Adam was a genuinely nice bloke. And I understand why you like him, but maybe I don't love him as much as you do.
I don't love him. It's just the fact that I would have a beer with him, man.
Okay. Now, we need to talk about Caroline. This was the subject I wanted.
I've already got an Adam out my system now.
Yes,
okay?
yes. You're all Adam'd out.
Shut up.
Caroline's eviction. Now, this was the one where production, I think, realising that the outsiders were in trouble and that the public would have rebelled if they had to choose between the insiders.
Do you want
change the rules so that every housemate who received at least one nomination went up that week, and that meant that everybody, bar Becky and Scott, went up for that eviction. Now, first of all, I wanted to say, even if we don't like The Outsiders, was that twist fair? And the other fact I want to put in is, do you think they made this a big name eviction to try and scare people off watching the 2012 opening ceremony?
Kind of. It was a bit of dirty tactics there.
Yeah, I admit I taped this eviction. I watched the opening ceremony,
Which is good because it is history.
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
To tell you the truth, I almost cried at the part where, all the one of the part where they all talked about all the kids' fairy tale things. I almost had a little bit of a cry there, but
yeah. Did you have a cry when Caroline went?
Oh, my eyes were drier than a doorknob.
Yes, Caroline wasn't the best housemaid. And if you believe what Lauren Carr has to say, Caroline at times was just as bad as what Connor was in the house. Caroline got, I believe, over 40 warnings for her behaviour, and at one point actually got pulled up for what could have been construed as racist behaviour. And so Caroline was another producer's pet that really got far. But I do think she was, in some ways, maybe a bit more bearable than the other insiders. I think she was possibly the only outsider which really began to cross over into pantomime love to hate by this other way. Yeah. Especially in the ways that she became so overdramatic when she got told off. It's like, Caroline, you've done this, we're going to give you a warning for it. Oh my god, I'm really sorry.
And then they went, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's arguable. I mean, I'm in the minority about my opinion about Caroline. Saying that though, do you think she was maybe a bit hard done by with the eviction? Because the way it was done was something which we saw in Celebrity Big Brother 10, which was the vote freezing.
Oh, the vote freezing.
Yes, where they would freeze the votes at a certain point
and then restart
and then open them up again. Now, if the vote freeze doesn't happen, Luke S scores,
right, and
Caroline is safe. But because it went to Caroline versus Luke S, people piled their votes onto Luke just to get Caroline out. Do you think that maybe Caroline was a bit hard done by there?
To tell you the truth, the better woman-man thingy sort of thing went out pretty well because she was a bitch.
She was, I'll have to give you that. But certainly much more interesting housemaid than what Luke S was.
In the end of the day, it's not about if you're an interesting person,
I think it is on a show like this. I mean, I know you want to try and reward nice personalities, but you want people who can create drama and full conflict. And Caroline was doing that a lot more than Luke. I mean, Luke just spent his whole summer clinging on to the showmans that nobody was particularly interested in.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, we need to discuss this, and I want you to discuss this, Joe. Big Brother showmancers and Lushley in particular.
Lushley?
Yes. I didn't quite get that.
What the hell is Lushley?
Lushley, of course, Luke, S and Ashley.
Oh, bless.
And it was the hashtag that they used throughout the season to try and sell them as this beloved couple. Will Lushley get together tonight? Do you want to see Lushley have a romantic picnic? And everyone was like, we can't give a stuff about Lushley. And they kept going with it. And
it's sort of like Chilltown, except not funny.
It's definitely nothing like Chilltown.
Even though Chilltown was awesome.
Chilltown was awesome. If you watch Big Brother America, you have to watch Big Brother 2 and Big Brother All Stars because Chilltown are fantastic in that.
We have found the precursor towards Handsome Jack if you're playing Borderlands 2. Look at Will Kirby. He is basically Handsome Jack, the dick that you like to hate.
Yes. Now, what's your view, Joe, on showmancers in general? Why are Channel 5 and Channel 4 so insistent on pushing them for us?
Showmancers really, I think they can sometimes be good and sometimes be bad. Like, I know this wasn't really. It was more romance than showmance, but Lisa and Mario.
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
Nah, they got married afterwards.
I think the difference with Lisa and Mario was they were relatively background within the context of the show, and yet I got the feeling that Channel 5 tried to push Lushly as something for people to really get involved in.
The papers did say that Channel 5 were in the wrong with trying to sex up Big Brother.
Yes, and it's another example of that towiness that they tried to get into the show. That
No. Towie, they didn't actually successfully put Towie in there.
No, they haven't successfully done it because the public have rejected it.
Because of
they've tried to push
the N word.
No, we're not going to mention that, Paul. We'll hold it out
Right,
until Celebrity Big
because-
Brother 8. Woosa.
Yes, but it's basically so bloody dim
Yes.
that people will just watch it because they're so bloody dim.
But obviously they're not as dim as we believe they are because people didn't buy into it. You would make the argument that if people were that dim, they would have bought the Lushly with this romantic couple and would have voted for them hundreds of times to stay together and find love and happiness in this house.
Jeez. Which doesn't exist in this house, apparently.
Yes, this was a rather nasty house, I have to be honest, this year.
Except for one man.
Yes, Paul's crush.
I'm not crushing on him.
You are going to be crushing in another way though, because this is the point where we talk about the fall of Becky. And
Hang on. Let me get the sound effects going. Splashing noises.
Can I just make a quick note here?
Yes.
That I think that Caroline's trick for the shopping list was absolutely spot on, brilliant.
Good point that you actually brought that on. Caroline decided, basically the way in which she would go out in blaze of glory was to sabotage the shopping list and order all chocolate.
Oh.
That's brilliant.
Was it though as good as what Harry had done last year with the 500 bananas?
Oh my god. That was. Are you saying
Harry spent the whole shopping list on bananas.
that's horrible.
It was fantastic television though. And it sort of felt Caroline sort of failed in comparison. Good moment, but maybe done a bit too many times to have impact.
Ordering lots and lots of chocolate out of the shopping list. That's like to someone who's got who's got the fluffy exterior, right? Is basically gonna like blowing on a house of cards. They're gonna crumble and basically end up eating the entire thing.
Not that good for someone who's a diabetic though.
Becky's a diabetic?
How much was the shopping list that week? I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe they passed that week's shopping task, so it would have been a luxury one as well. Good moment though, and it actually brings me up to another point which is Fred and Digital Spy. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who posted it, but they made the fantastic point that
We'll have you an anonymous poster. Thank you very much.
Yes, but they said that one of the fantastic things that they found most compelling about Big Brother 13 was the different ways in which how the insiders handled their rejection from the crowd, and how Ashley sort of retreated into a shell, sort of really cowered. Luke showed real frustration in realising that he practically lost everything in the show and wasn't going to earn anything from it. Caroline, who went out in this blaze of glory, and eventually what happens with Becky, who couldn't handle that she made the wrong decision and just blew up into this awful creature that we talk about now. And which brings me on to Paul, where Paul gets the opportunity here to speak about the fall of Becky. Where did it start to go wrong?
Yark! It's basically when the wheel started to be more inserted into the house.
Paul Becky is not that fat.
She's fake though, she's fake.
Can we please stop with the pirate sea talkie, please?
No, bollocks. Fair enough. All right. It's just the fact that she's so the fakeness of her, right? Just showed up at there,
Yes.
and then everyone just started get really sick of her, and she went.
And I think there was only just though. She only just survived. She only just went against Ashley that week. But one of the things that I think really summed up the hypocrisy of the thing that you came about was when she went off on Luke. When Luke made a comment about Becky. I think it was something along the lines of she has as much. She cares about me as much as she cares about a BMI. Bit harsh, but the way in which Becky went off on Luke about it, when she'd spent the whole week basically priding herself on being a big girl, but yet if someone else commented on it, they weren't allowed to. They were the spawn of Satan.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to bring up Gabriel Iglesias's 5 levels of chunkiness. There's fat, there's healthy, there's husky, there's fluffy, and there's BOOM!
I think husky. But believe me, Paul. As someone who's lost a lot of weight in the past, Becky wasn't that big.
Yeah.
I'll defend Becky in that regard. I mean, I know we've had a lot of enjoyment criticising Becky, but we have to keep on the positive side.
All right.
Especially when you take into account what we're going to be talking about next, which is one of the controversial moments of the series.
And I think I might have offended Joseph here.
Joe, Paul apologises if he offended you in any way.
I'm alright.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
thanking you.
Were you alright about the White Room though?
Paul,
What?
Pete Burns in a thong.
Yes, consider that payback, Paul.
Fair enough.
We need to talk about the White Room. And I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to talk about the White Room, but it was the moment of the series.
Yeah. The White Room was a task where the housemates actually can make a little bit more money.
Yes, and could actually leave the house, not face the public vote, and take half of the prize money with them.
Ooh.
Now, I actually think, I'm in the minority here when it comes to Digital Spy, I actually think that the White Room was a good idea, a good concept, once again not done as well as it could, and the drama that came from it was fantastic. But the fact that it was Connor who ended up with the 50 grand, who ended up taking half of the prize money of somebody who deserved it far more, who got 50 grand after saying the things that he did about the other housemates, not just Dana but the other outsiders, was in my eyes disgusting. And in my eyes I consider it karma on Channel 4, Channel 5 for keeping him in the house when he should have gone.
My God.
It is a sad fact that someone like that has got 50 grand for behaving that way.
It is like the song from Billy Talent's latest album. Evil is left with praise, and heroes are left in the grave.
And I care it more, and I compare it more to the song by Jimmy Buffett. Were you born an arsehole, or did you work with it your whole life? I actually really take care of this because I'm fairly certain I'll have a mafia from Derry who will probably come and rip me head off.
Bah! Let them come. I have a stick.
Yes. If anybody cares, I live at 742 Evergreen Terrace.
And if anyone cares about me, I would say I live in a hole in the middle of the ocean.
Yes. But I didn't like the White Room. Maybe I would have liked the White Room more if it had been someone a bit more deserving who had got in. The fact that it was Connor killed it for me. I think there were elements of it which could have been good, but that was the death knell. And really, I can't really say that much more about Connor because I've written down in my notes here that we have to do an assessment of Connor as a character. I can't find anything pleasant.
I can give a long sort of synopsis of him.
Go.
Yeah,
Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, that was quite long actually, Paul. You, Joe, you were going to say something?
I said, please don't.
Yes. Now, what Connor's leaving did though was something that we on Digital Stats Spy discussed, which was Dina's was the supposed change in behaviour from Dina following the departure of Connor, and the way in which Dina began to tried to go at Lucas after he'd won a golden ticket to the final week, calling him Charlie and saying Charlie, you got the golden ticket, Charlie. Personally, I think it's quite funny.
I got golden ticket.
But did this hurt Dina in the end?
Yeah, it did hurt Dina a bit.
Do you think that Dina did change after Connor left, or do you think it was people looking for an excuse for her behaviour afterwards?
What was her behaviour like?
I think Dina was one of those housemates which was quite it was quite straight from Dina. I think Dina was always quite a snarky sort of character.
Bitch.
But it was I wouldn't say bitch. Quite funny with a humour though.
Yeah.
Like she was harsh but funny.
Mm.
And I think that was the way she behaved with Charlie. But I mean not Charlie with Lucas. Look at me, I'm calling him Charlie now.
Charlie, where are you going, Charlie? Gonna get him down.
One thing I do like about that was it did give Lucas an opportunity to be portrayed more as a
Heavy hit.
a joke character, more like how he just very dryly said, "My name's not Charlie, it's Luke." Just very dry.
Gonna get him down, Charlie.
Gotta get down on Friday, Charlie. Yes, very too old for Rebecca Black references. Note that down. No more Rebecca Black references.
Yeah, but mind you, it's Friday. It's Friday.
Yeah,
Get down on Friday.
It is Friday actually. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Potty. Yeah.
We're
Going
so
Shatner on your ass.
we're so
Stop.
yes, we're so cool. 2011 rocks.
White people dancing.
Okay. Now, personally, I like Dina, and I think the Charlie thing was just her continuing the way that she'd behaved beforehand. But people saw that because Connor had gone, this was something that was just new to Dina. It was the way that she behaved all the way through the series, and people just looked for a reason to call her out for it. Now, the thing I want to mention about the next week after that was the museum task, and this gives us an opportunity to talk about the tasks in general for this year. Joe, what's your opinion on the tasks?
All of them in this series.
On the whole, we keep more of an assessment.
I think it was, some of them were rip-offs of old ones, but
Yeah.
the ones that I've seen and read about from Wikipedia, and they all seem quite good tests.
It's a good thing you actually mentioned about the ripping off, because I think the museum task was very similar to the prison task from Big Brother 7.
Yeah.
In the idea that it was that the joke was on I believe it was Scott and Sarah who were the security guards.
Yeah.
And the joke was on them throughout. But I do think it was a good series, and of course we have to remember Dina's terrible attempt at an American accent. It's one small step for man.
It's one small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
I can't turn into a country singer. Good moment though, and Dina could be fun. And people forget that from the last series that was a fun Dina moment, and she had plenty of them. People just seemed to focus on the negatives as it came to the later stage of the season. One of the things I found quite strange, and I want your opinion on this, Paul, was the way in which Scott was edited during his final week. I felt the bit on the side really began to push Scott as this really massive character, trying to say, "Oh, everybody loves Scott. Scott's a threat to win," and then for him to get less votes than Ashley at the next eviction.
That sounds like a bit of the that sounds like the mass populi manipulation right there.
Yes.
It does seem like Channel 5. Some people usually have this way of manipulating the masses very slyly.
Yes.
Channel 5, on the other hand, fucking just blatantly go, Scott, For the win, Scott, for the win.
And because they don't have a live feed, they can do it more often.
Yeah, which is bullshit in my case.
I definitely agree. So I think the need to bring back a live feed is one absolute definite.
Give us a live feed, 5. Give
Yes.
us a live feed.
Feed me, feed us.
Feed us, or I will feed on your soul.
Has anyone else got the impression it's been a really dark podcast?
Kind of.
Now, I'm
That's
gonna,
on.
we're going to try and make it more upbeat. And we're going to talk about the two victims of the double eviction that week, Scott versus Ashley.
Ashley.
The Scott and Ashley, okay? Now, I want your general assessment on these two as characters.
Right, we're talking posh as anything Tory boy Scott, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Who was one of your least favourites on launch night? If you ever listened to the reality TV check, we did a launch night special on Big Brother 13.
Oh dear God.
And Scott was actually, Paul was actually very vocal about his dislike for Scott.
Right. Have you ever seen a have you seen a Tory try to be more urban in the street? This is Scott, right? I have my own shabby sort of friends,
I like that. I thought it was funny.
I know it was funny, but it was patronising at the same time.
I'll give you that. Yes, it was patronising.
I would-
But you can't deny him describing his dad as a ruffian. It's great.
Right, to tell you the truth, he was going into Boris Johnson sort of territory there.
He reminded me actually of if you remember Niles Crane from Frasier.
Yes, I do.
That was sort of the way I felt Scott sort of behaved during the series.
Yeah, kind of. You got a point there, aye.
Now, did your opinion on Scott change during the series?
During the series, he did come into, he did come from Tory Tossy boy to, thank you, to more of a relatable character.
Yeah. Do you think maybe do you think one of the flaws I had with Scott, and I want your opinion on whether you think this is true or not. I always got the impression he was far too much of other people's lackey.
Yeah.
He spent the early season as Caroline's lackey and then became Becky in her contrived attempts to be hilarious. And which I didn't understand, because when Scott showed his own humour, he was very funny. Yes. Now, Ashley. What was your view on Ashley?
Ashley.
You don't know Ashley. Do you remember who Ashley was?
No.
Well, I think that's quite apt for Big Brother as well, because Ashley was quite a forgettable character. I mean, even with the showmans, even with Lushley being pushed down our throats.
Oh, now I can remember. Yeah, there we go. I remember now.
Yes, and now we remember. Now, what's your view of that?
Quiet. Very quiet. Very quiet.
I think we're going to struggle to try and get much about talking about Ashley.
It's like talking about the Green Party. There's the Green Party, and there you go.
Yes. You're very politically motivated, I've noticed that.
I'm a political man. I like politics. I like to keep on my politics, but really, it's like, because quite frankly, let's face it, we're to the dogs.
It has, yes.
We are to the dogs.
Now, here comes finale night. Yeah, and we're not getting to him yet, Paul.
Shit's going off.
I am.
Fireworks, the Opal's on fire and all that. The Oprah's dancing with a big massive thighs and all that.
Am I the only one who found finale night quite underwhelming? I sort of got the feeling that by that point, they were hyping up Celebrity Big Brother 10 more than finale. It was almost as if Channel 5 wanted to say, okay, get the series done, let's get it over with.
Let's get more celebrities in. People like celebrities, we're dying out there!
Yes, the star-studded names like Danica Thrall and Prince Lorenzo Borghese. I know. Now, we're going to split this into 4 sections here. First of all, we're going to talk about contestants which finished in 5th and 4th. And assess them as housemates, which was Lucas, Ashley's partner in crime, and Sarah, who, had a love of the Queen and not much else. Your views on the two, Joe?
Not much of what Sarah does kind of remind me of Rodrigo in the Queen loving sense.
Yes, But yet I found Rodrigo. Yet I found it's such that I found Rodrigo slightly more endearing.
Wait a minute, Rodrigo. The same Rodrigo.
We've got a long story to talk about when it comes to Rodrigo. We'll try and hold it off to Big Brother 10 if you can hold on that long, Paul.
Brazilian bastard.
It's worth tuning in for, ladies and gentlemen. So when we get to Big Brother 10, you have to listen to Paul's story about Rodrigo. But yes, I somehow I found Rodrigo's love with the Queen more endearing, and I just sort of felt that Sarah sort of like that was it. That was the only part of Sarah that was really that interesting. I mean,
she
was pleasant but dull.
No, I don't. And also apparently, she was pleasant, but then she said, I like the Tories and I like Thatcher. I like Thatcher.
Scottish people suddenly sound like from Essex.
Oh. I like the Tories and I like Thatcher. Donkey. I love all of them together. Sometimes I like to go down the moor and stamp on puppies.
She's not Ramsey Nesbitt, Paul.
I can imagine that though in the string vest
Oh.
and the pretty hair.
Actually, Sarah in a string vest wouldn't be that bad. Actually, very very pretty girl. I have to give you that.
Woo!
Yes, we've suddenly come on to something. Lucas though. Now there was sort of like two stages of Lucas. Lucas post the White Room and Lucas before the White Room. And I actually found Lucas post White Room to be actually quite a likeable character and somebody who was quite funny without maybe not realising it. But what about you, Paul?
Lucas, another character, was alright again.
Do you think Luke would have done better or worse without the whole Lushy thing?
I think would have done a little bit. It helped them keep alive for the past series, because you had a lot of people backing the showmans. But good things do always end, as they would like to say, with a bang.
Was Lushy a good thing?
It helped them.
Okay. There isn't much to talk about when it comes to Lucas and Sarah, but I think there is a lot to talk about when we discuss Dina.
Oh god.
And I mean, Dina is, and Paul says, oh god, because I am a big Dina fan. I think Dina by far was the star of Big Brother 13.
I do feel sorry for her with the criticism and possible racism she got.
Yes. I think that Dina was. It's a tricky one to say when it comes to racist abuse, because
it wasn't like Jade Goodygate.
No, it wasn't, and it's hard. But the thing is, it's hard to make assumptions. I think the problem sometimes people make is that we see an Indian woman or a black woman being talked about negatively, and we assume it's racism. And I think it's quite difficult to judge whether or not the case was this with Dina. I mean, it's touch and go, and I don't want to really say whether it was or whether it wasn't. But I think the grief that Dina got from Connor was terrible, and I think that the way that she handled it, with dignity, grace, a bit of snark, and a good sense of humour, it made her, in my eyes, a fantastic housemaid, and somebody who I would actually go as far to say that if they do another Ultimate Big Brother, Dina should be on it. That's how good I think she was.
I can see from here Paul rolling his eyes.
No, Paul's not rolling his eyes. I just think that Paul's
mesmerised by my iPod theory. It has awesome tracks in it.
Yes, you do realise this is a radio podcast and nobody can see it.
Oh, in that case, then look at this. Look, imagine square, awesome thing. Because apparently, if we say a brand on this thing, we'll probably get sued.
I want you to imagine, though. I want you to put your opinion on Dina, Paul.
When Connor didn't help the fact that she was trying to. Connor was trying to postpone her as the bitch, and Connor didn't have a friend in production, so it could be feeding on him. But
You were one of those people who felt there was a bit of a change in Dina post Connor.
Yeah.
Did this sort of change your perception of her?
Well, if this change, yeah, it did, because
You felt she became a bit more bitchy.
a little bit more bitchy and more because of the frustration that Connor went through. I mean, to tell you the truth, you go through it's like going through a war. You're not going to be the same when you go out of it.
She did give us a lot of great laugh out loud moments during the series. Dina, we have to give you that. Maybe not so much Charlie, but I love the way that she took the mick out of Ashley. Basically going, Ibiza. You get what I'm saying? Like that. And then the Luke S robot stuff, which if anybody tries to find this on YouTube, Channel 5 probably taken it down. But she just spent the whole time believing that Luke S was this robotic figure who didn't show any emotion. Are you excited, Robot Luke? I am a robot. I will stand on box for 5 hours. Absolutely fantastic. That's.
Would you like a packet of cigarettes from the local corner shop? I am a robot. Sorry.
Low Paul, yes. Let's not go for. And it was Rabsy Nesbitt again. A Rabsy robot.
That was it. Alright, you're back.
Yes, we're going off tangents slightly,
Right.
but I like Dina, and I think that she was a great housemaid. And in my eyes, if I had my way, Dina would win.
Ooh.
But the person who was going to win was between Adam and Luke.
Adam!
And since we know the answer that Paul would probably give to this, I'm going to give this to Joe. Between Adam and Luke, who deserved it more?
Adam! Adam!
Don't listen to Paul. This is your opinion.
She said Adam as well.
And why would you say Adam?
Adam!
It was just like, it was more entertaining. It was like, actually, like, Luke was quite boring, and Adam was actually quite entertaining, I found.
Yeah!
On the whole, I'd agree with you. I think that Adam was a really nice guy, and I think maybe over the course of the series deserved it a little bit more. That's not taken away from Luke, and I think that Luke himself was very pleasant, had a good backstory going into the show. As I mentioned earlier, held the outsiders together as a solid threesome, and the snarkiness on Becky, good comedy moment. He was a good. I think the good way to describe Luke was a good default winner. I think
Default being a very strong word there.
It's difficult to say, but I think Luke's a good example of somebody who, if you want to try and keep everyone happy, Luke's your man. He's not going to upset anybody, and I think he was one of the people as well who I think maybe deserved, who on paper I think would have done better more with the 50 grand than the others. I mean, I like Adam as well, and I share your views on Adam being a really lovely guy.
Adam!
It's touch and go. I would maybe favour Adam, but I understand why Luke won, and I don't have a problem with it.
Adam!
Okay.
He had more of a story, didn't he, though, Luke?
He did. The female to male thing, and that asks me the question: is do you think Luke would win even without that?
Even with that.
No.
Even with that.
Okay. And would you like to explain more, Joe?
Nadia.
It's quite an interesting situation that they had here, and actually Val W actually posted a question about that. Thank you, Val, for posting this.
Again with the awesome, not as awesome, but still very good at name.
Yes, Val, we will ask your question here, because you asked something similar to that subject, which is, how did Luke's win compare to Nadia? For me, Nadia's challenge was whether she passed so convincingly nobody would guess that she was trans. Luke is very open about it, and his challenge was, would people accept him for just being Luke? Does this prove we're now in a society where something like gender identity needn't be an issue? Or does Big Brother attract viewers that are more inclined to be open-minded?
Good question.
That is a fantastic question there.
To tell you, on the first launch night of that, I did not know that Luke was a woman who turned into a man.
No, I didn't either. And I think Val actually makes a really good point, which is that I personally do share that vision that Big Brother fans, for all the grief that they get for mainstream public are quite liberal and quite open-minded in their views. And when you consider the fact that Big Brother had the first black man win a reality TV show, the first gay man to win a reality TV series, the first woman to win a reality TV series, 2 transsexual winners, a large amount of homosexual winners. I would like to believe that we are very open-minded. I mean, the fact that an American former gang member was second on a show like this.
Former gang member of a very violent,
yes,
and very violent crime syndicate.
I think it shows that we are. I think that Val's right, that we are quite a liberal, open-minded viewers on the show.
I mean, you've got someone who listens to anything. You've got someone here that actually listens to Snoop Dogg, and he turned his life around. He's now, well, I don't know if he still has connections, but he's actually got a lot of money in his pocket.
Yeah.
So
I want to put that to you, Joe, about the liberalness of the Big Brother fan base. Do you think it's there?
Yeah, I do. I really do think it is fair that people aren't judging people on their looks or who they used to be or who they are.
And you say that with your plastic cleaver there.
Yes. Explain the cleaver to us, Joe.
It's just a toy. It's a Halloween prop. Don't worry about it.
Right, fair enough.
Yes. So on the whole, lads, what did we think of Big Brother 13?
It's a step up. It is a step up.
I think from Big Brother 12, which is very much a tame, arguably test series for Channel 5. This is for me the first real civilian Big Brother that Channel 5 did.
Yeah,
and I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah,
I think the negativity was maybe a bit too much.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, I think it delivered, and I wish the Connor stuff didn't happen, because I think without that, I think Big Brother 13 may have ranked a bit higher than what it has. What about you, Paul?
I liked it. Even if I didn't actually catch up with a lot of their show, but seeing the odd episode here and there, it was enjoyable to watch. It was a bit dark at times, but it shows that sometimes it is dark out there, but there are some decent people fumbling about like you are.
Would you have liked it if Adam won week 1?
That would be nice. It would be nice.
No, if Adam left in week 1, if he was the first person voted off.
I would have thought that everyone is a cruel bastard and deserves to die in a hole.
I had a feeling you'd say that. Now we're going to answer a couple of viewer questions here that people have posted. This is just to end the show before we go. This is the last thing we will do. Unfortunately, I didn't get the name of this poster here.
Thank you, Anonymous!
Thank you, Miss Anonymous, and we'll sure to give you a call out next time. But they posted, was it right to have no follow-up programs on the show at all? Every previous BB had been followed by a program showing the winner, and sometimes other finalists, coming out and readjusting to the outside world, going to parties, discussing future plans, etc. This was the first one where it just ended up with nothing at all. Not even a winner's interview on daytime TV. It did seem rather cursory. Now, of course this was a different scenario in that we had the celebrity series straight after, but it does share my belief that the series on the whole got too negative that Channel 5 just wanted to disassociate themselves with it.
Basically, they pulled out just before the nuke sort of hit. So
yes, although this was the only Channel 5 series so far where they did release the voting percentages.
Yeah. They did release the voting percentages.
Yes. And Joe, you were going to say something?
Yeah, can I say that since the end of Big Brother 12, Luke has released a video on YouTube of his feelings since finishing Big Brother.
I've watched the video, I have to say, and I recommend other people do as well as watching this one. Please do, because we got about 150 listeners last time.
Oh yes.
Yes, and
people actually sort of writing in and giving us questions, which is absolutely
fantastic, and we hope that you can continue to do the same when we get to the.
This guy's digital spy name. If you have
Yes,
any
K02138818.
if you have any questions about the show or what we're talking about,
Or if you want Paul Barron's autograph.
Oh man.
Or mine, yes.
or any of us.
Yes, we'll very well.
Just comment on his and we'll like it.
Yeah, what?
Here's a question.
Even luckier, we might read it out.
Yes, Joe, you were going to say?
Question for the comments. Would you like a Big Brothers Big Archive Twitter? Because I do that.
Yes, we'll mention that with the Twitter account. And there's one more question I need to ask, which Val W posted, which is, did the lack of live feed totally distort the impression we were given of the housemates? Some people on here were quick to label Luke and Adam as bores who just bitched and swore, whereas we've since learned they got into very many interesting debates and said each other wild dares that were never shown. Again, this goes back to the live feed issue and Channel 5's. I wouldn't say they do manipulate the live feed, but they have the potential to do it. And I think examples like this could be RC. And
Yeah.
I think for the sake of the credibility of the show, and as well as those hardcore fans, giving a live feed, which is relatively cheap to produce,
Yeah.
would be the best thing. I mean, Channel
But-
5 has 5 star. You could put it on there.
No, because you could make a little bit more money with the live feed. I mean, Val W has actually made a very good point there, because Adam and Luke did talk about doing dares that we didn't actually see, because that would have made proper good television.
And it would have been good television, and there was a lot of examples that Dina did where there were good moments which Dina did, which made the exclusive videos, seldom made the live shows.
Right.
And that was a shame. I think a live feed is something that definitely needs to come back, and I totally agree with you on that, Paul.
Right.
And thank you very much for the question, Val. But unfortunately,
Thank you very much for all your good questions. I mean, you and also your creative names.
And unfortunately, though, ladies and gentlemen, that is all that we have time for today. Believe it or not, Paul, we've talked about 10 weeks worth of Big Brother inside 2 hours.
Woohoo! Record! I believe that deserves a pint.
We shall go for a pint later tonight.
Don't push your luck.
Yes. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have to say thank you very much for joining us for this show. It's been 2 hours of good fun talking here with Paul and Joe, and we certainly look forward to doing it all again when we discuss our next series, which is going to be Celebrity Big Brother 9.
Oh god.
Yay!
Which is a favourite of Joe's. It's one of my favourite celebrity series.
It has the guy from Reservoir King Dogs.
And it has Michael Madsen in as well, so it's instantly a favourite of Paul's.
It's Quentin Tarantino. I wanted the badassery to come, but it didn't come.
Joe,
Yes?
you were going to say something?
I said, and Denise Welsh. So,
Denise Welsh, yes. Denise Welsh, Carissa and Christina, Michael Madsen, Panskate, Andrew Stone, the Kirk and Natalie double eviction.
Yeah.
It's going to be an absolutely fantastic show that we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
I hope that you join us for that. Thank you once again for listening. My name's been Karl Baybridge.
I've been Paul Barron.
And I have a mustache.
And that's been Joseph Tilley. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. See you next time.
Don't forget to send us any more of your questions as well. We love you. We love the creative names, and also the fact that you bring out some very good points and in questions. So please keep them coming. See you in a bit.